What does Wisconsin need to do to win this football game? Be a different football team.
Can I just ask you a question? Because
Michigan, it's a podcast.
Michigan was on a bye this week. How nice was it to just be able to enjoy the great slate of games that we had?
Absolutely
and just
incredible.
have no stress. That's how I felt last week, and it was beautiful.
This was one of the premier weekends of college football. It was fantastic.
It lived up to the hype.
It was really, really good. It was fantastic. Like if I could have handpicked a bye week, that was the one. And so that was nice. It is also nice though to get your team back on the field in what should be, let's be honest, this should not be a terribly stressful game for me.
It should not be.
Now, and again, I always hate going into a game where I go, oh yeah, this should be relaxing. Like there's somewhere you know it's going to happen, right? You play Central Michigan, you play Grambling, you play Ohio, you go, okay, this will be fine. But when you play a Big Ten game, you never feel good about like even Minnesota for you guys this week. I feel like Wisconsin, Minnesota cut from a very similar cloth, right? Not just because they both play for Paul Bunyan's Axe, but it feels very much like, all right, we're a better team. But there's that little nagging voice in the back of your head that goes, but what if you suck? And it's like,
I hate that voice. My worst enemy.
I know. But anyway, I think this should be fine. Here's the vibe, because I need to paint a picture. If you haven't watched Wisconsin football this year, you haven't missed anything. Here's the vibe coming out of Wisconsin. These are actual bona fide headlines.
Oh, I can't wait.
From the Wisconsin Beat, followed by a quote from one of those articles. And I want this to paint the picture from inside Madison. Here are the headlines. There really aren't any positives from week 4. What is the biggest worry? Is Luke Fickell the right guy? Do we have an identity? How many more games will the Badgers win? Do Badger fans have the right to boo at home? And something called panic meter. The quote that I'd like to give you from one of those articles is, quote, there are only 8 more of these games left. We must find a way to make the best of them.
Sounds like me with every Brown season ever.
So in case you were wondering if Wisconsin might be on the right track, the answer is
okay.
The answer is
Are
no.
they all right?
Penn State had to deal with the Fire Franklin chants. Fire Fickell chants were very loud on the broadcast this weekend, the 2 weeks ago now, because they were on a bye, as Maryland dismantled them like 27-10. By the way, that was a 27-3 game until the last 30 seconds. So
and I called it.
Not great. Let's start with Wisconsin's offense here. Billy Edwards' status is very much up in the air. So he was injured early, which is always unfortunate. Billy Edwards also, you might remember in the offseason, was being targeted by Michigan. Seems like things may have worked out okay for Michigan with this Bryce. Have you heard of this Bryce Underwood kid? I think we're going to be okay. But Billy Edwards, unfortunately, got injured, came back in for all of 6 minutes in the Maryland game a couple weeks ago, had to exit again. His status just seems incredibly unclear for the Michigan game. Danny O'Neill has been the backup. He has not been good. Obviously thrust into a difficult situation. There's a reason.
5 picks.
There's a reason they went into the portal. So there's a sense in which you feel bad for the kid. He has not played well. He got injured near the end of the Maryland game. You've got a bye week. So again, it's hard to tell what's the status going to actually look like because you didn't get a fresh injury report this weekend. They may be on Hunter Simmons, third string quarterback. Just no clue at this. We record Monday mornings. No clue at this point in the week who's playing quarterback. Nobody has been fantastic for Wisconsin. Obviously, Billy Edwards is the best case scenario for the Badgers. Jaden Ballard is on this team.
He is.
Former Ohio State wide receiver. He's done nothing, but he's on the team.
He's been okay. He's like their third string. I mean, he's fine for a guy that never really got to play much.
Again, if you've not watched a lot of Wisconsin's offense, this team was up 3-0 on Miami. Ohio, late in the third quarter at Camp Randall. They only put up 17 points in that game. They scored 7 offensive points against Alabama. They scored 7 offensive points against Maryland. And that touchdown was, again, with 30 seconds left in the game. So this team does not score a lot of points. They ran for 61 yards against Maryland and gave up 6 sacks. So they're number 5 in time of possession.
Because they get it a lot. They get scored on a bunch.
Their offense is ranked 109th in the country, a worse offense than Iowa, Central Michigan, and Kennesaw State. So if you like a summary of what does Wisconsin need to do to win this football game, Be a different football team.
Pay another team to wear your uniforms for you.
In all seriousness, though, like if Wisconsin, because just like with Minnesota, like listen, any team can beat any team on any given Saturday. Okay, that's the reality. Again, ask Michigan about the Ohio State game, right? Very inept offense, found a way to win. Wisconsin will have to take the New Mexico game plan from week 1 against Michigan, right? New Mexico had these massive long drives. Yes, we had the ref show, all that. Yes, that's true. But New Mexico in the middle frame had fantastic time of possession against Michigan. And it was a lot of just like this dink and dunk type stuff because they couldn't protect the quarterback. If you're Wisconsin, that is your path. Time of possession, you've been very good at somehow. And the quick dink and dunk stuff to fend off, Derek Moore and Jayshawn Barham, that's going to be your bread and butter, whoever's that quarterback. Any of those quarterbacks should be able to just turn and just dunk the ball off and get 3-4 yards. You're not going to run or pass with any sort of consistency. You're going to need this quick time consuming type of thing. If I'm Luke Fickell, that is the game plan. There's not much path here. That is the path if you're Wisconsin. The good thing for Wisconsin, they do have one good thing, and that has been their defense has been actually fairly decent. So much like Minnesota, Wisconsin's rush defense, actually pretty good. Number 1 rush defense in the country right now. Now, you got to take that with a grain of salt, just like with Minnesota. Wisconsin played Miami, Ohio to open the year. They played Middle Tennessee. But they also had Alabama in there. They also had Maryland in there. The problem is that their pass defense is ranked 89th in the country. Worse than Central Michigan, UConn, Purdue, and Bowling Green. So again, not fantastic. So that's where when these stat lines come in, you've got to go, well, gee, is there a reason that one is so skewed? Is there a reason that the rush defense is so good? One, I do think they have a decent rush defense. But 2, the pass defense is so terrible, teams aren't having to run the ball on them at all. They gave up 72 rush yards to Alabama, but Ty Simpson passed for 400. So you see the problem here if you're a Wisconsin fan. So we're talking a lot about Wisconsin side of the ball. Here's what Michigan is going to need, given that they're going up against this defense. Whether it's Wisconsin or USC or whoever they play, Michigan's going to need just consistent play from their wide receivers to force a defense like Wisconsin away from the run. Do I think Justice Haynes and Jordan Marshall and heck, Bryce Underwood can run on them? I do. But if you can't get any consistency from the receivers and teams can start, it won't be as bad as last year, but if teams can start just stacking the box on you, which Wisconsin's going to have to try to do, if you insist on just slamming your head against the wall over and over and over again, a la Oklahoma, which this defense is not on par with that, by the way, that's where Michigan can get into trouble because Michigan has had some inconsistency. As good as Michigan has played overall this season, they've had moments where they'll either go on these long touchdown drives, or they'll hit a home run. They'll have that, or they'll go 3 and out. Like there's not a lot of, hey, we drove the field but then had to punt, or like it's either we score a touchdown, either a long drive or right off the bat home run. We score a touchdown, or we go 3 and out. That's kind of been the hot and cold for Michigan. Michigan's going to have to get consistent receiver play from the tight ends, from the wide receivers, if they're going to be able to exert their will against Wisconsin. If they find themselves just punting the ball back to Wisconsin over and over again, and Wisconsin is doing this dink and dunk time of possession thing, it can get a little bit hairy. I say all that, and it sounds like I'm kind of dogging Michigan, like, oh, Michigan should have their way with this team. Correct me if I'm wrong from the Ohio State side here. I do not see a way that Michigan doesn't win this game and win this game by 3 scores.
We'll see.
31-13. Yeah, I'll give Wisconsin a touchdown. Probably garbage time because Michigan will be playing 4th stringers. Yeah. I'll give them a couple sad field goals. They'll score 31 points, then they'll get Bryce Underwood the heck out of there.
See, and I think there are some interesting things. You've already kind of touched on some of them. The Wisconsin defense is just so weird, but I think that right now on paper they kind of match up okay against Michigan. I think if we're being honest here, the weak point of Michigan's offense is the passing game still. The wide receiver room has been spotty.
It's for sure.
It's been spotty. and the strength is the run game. And I 100% understand you have to take into account the competition that Wisconsin has played. I think Haynes and I think Marshall is going to go out there. Jordan Marshall is going to go out there, and they're going to be able to run the ball better than what you've seen people run the ball against that. But I did the same thing. I started looking, okay, have they played anything close to a Michigan that's comparable? And I looked at Alabama.
Maryland, maybe.
But I went more towards the Alabama side, and I said, okay, Ty Simpson threw for 382. They rushed for 72. So Wisconsin, I do think, has a solid run defense. I think Michigan's run game is better than Bama's.
Yep.
And I don't know what to make of their passing offense. So I look at this and I go, yeah, Ty threw for 382, but do I feel like Underwood and Michigan can do the same? Maybe.
Yeah, we'll see.
Maybe.
We'll see.
And so if I'm a Michigan guy looking at this game, I'm wanting to see, okay, can we establish the ground game early? And then this is the game where you need to answer that question.
Yep.
Where you need to be Donovan McCulley, Samaj Morgan, and you've got to answer the question of, okay, who's going to step up? Who's going to be the true number one guy, which I think right now has been McCulley.
It's clearly McCulley.
It's got to be McCulley.
But he's got to have support.
It's still been too inconsistent. So that's the thing that I'm going to be watching for is I still don't think this game is close. I have the final score actually better than you did. I have it as 35-7.
Great.
I don't see Wisconsin having the offense to be able to move the ball against this Michigan defense that I think is clearly the strength of that team. Yeah. And I think they've got too many playmakers. I actually don't expect for Michigan to pass the ball well. I think this will be another game where you look at Bryce Underwood and you see the talent, but it's not like a home run, what you saw against Central Michigan, where you're going, oh, man, there it is. I think you walk away from this, and I think he does a lot more on the ground than through the air. Yeah. And I think Michigan outrushes Wisconsin just by a three-headed monster of Underwood, Haynes, and then Marshall. I just don't see the passing game being elevated enough for that to be something that's going to be mind blowing. But I just don't think it's close. Wisconsin's got zero talent on offense that would worry me. I think the edge defenders for Michigan are going to cause trouble.
And that's the thing too, is that even if the Michigan offense battles some inconsistencies in this game, because again, let's remember, this is a true freshman at quarterback. You are probably going to have some inconsistencies. Even in that hot quote, either it's touchdown or 3 and out. The defense is so suffocating for Michigan. The offense is going to get enough chances that even, and I'm not saying that there will, but even if there's some struggle there, it's going to hit. Like the defense will give your offense enough opportunities. And this offense, despite, some growing pains and all that, is still just so darn talented. It's going to hit. And Michigan's run game, even if there is struggle early, again, there may not be. Yeah. There may not be. But even if there is, you saw this even against the way Michigan played in Nebraska, where they just wore them down, traditional Michigan style. Now, Michigan's offense is far more dynamic and more J.J. McCarthy-ish than it's been in years prior, right? Mm-hmm. It's not just, well, we're only going to run the ball. But Michigan still is going to be able to wear down teams. I think this is a very important game. I'm with you. I think the passing game, as much as Michigan's going to want to run the ball, because that is still the identity, I'd love to see a successful passing game here, because you've got USC coming up next weekend. And I'm not trying to look ahead, but if I can just look ahead for a second here.
Well, and who knows what they even look like now.
That USC game, despite the loss to Illinois and how crazy that was, USC's got a darn good offense. And if Michigan needs to match points, they're going to have a successful, consistent passing game. So we'll put that on the back burner for right now. I've got 31-13. You've got 35-7. I think at the end of the day, we both agree Michigan should be able to control this game in some degree, in some way, shape, or form, to varying degrees, but should be in complete control. The Rivalry Podcast is part of the Varsity Network from Learfield and the River Podcast Network from River Radio Ministries.
New episodes out every Monday.
Be sure to subscribe, rate, and review wherever you're listening right now, and follow on social media at RivalPod and RivalPod.com.
And if you like what you hear, share with a friend so they can listen too.